I'm Fatima and welcome to episode 5 of Knitknacker Natters. It's my itty bitty podcast about crafting, coming to you from Singapore. It's where I, a Brit who is currently living here, talk about my knitting, crochet, my adventures in spinning, and any other crafty things that I might be getting up to. And I get to share my experiences about life and culture living in Far East Asia. So welcome if you're new. Thank you for checking me out and for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoy the episode. And a huge welcome and thank you to all the people who are returning. I wouldn't be doing this without you. I always get so many lovely comments and messages from you guys, and that's kind of what motivates me to keep doing this. So thank you again. One of the big things that happened in the last couple of weeks was shortly after podcasting, the podcast hit 100 subscribers. So I decided to throw a Instagram giveaway. And today, or rather later today, I'm going to be announcing the winner. So that was really, really exciting. And I cannot begin to thank you guys enough for showing me the love and support that I know this community can give, and for coming back and encouraging me. Honestly, it's really humbling because I know there's amazing podcasters out there. So the fact that you want to spend a little bit of time with me is really nice. Okay, so where can you find me? I'm at Knitknacker on most social media, so that's Instagram, on Ravelry, and on Periscope. And the podcast also has a group now. It's called Knitknacker Natters Podcast, and I'd love for you guys to come along and say hi. It's where I post the episodes now. I possibly should do some show notes. I'm going to try, but no promises. It's where I have all the information about the current CAL that I'm hosting, and any other bits of information that kind of pop into my head that I decide I want to share with you guys. And I want it to be your forum, so please feel free to kind of start a thread that you think might be interesting or relevant. It's your community, it's your group, and just come and join in. So one special thank you that I wanted to mention early on, in case I forget, because I forgot last time round, was a shout out to Kelly of the podcast I'm Yarn Inspired. She's based in Manchester and she knits and crochets, and we've been getting to know each other through the podcast, and because we've been chatting back and forth. She mentioned this podcast on her podcast a couple of shows ago, and again last time round. And so I want to say a big thank you to Kelly. It was really sweet of you. And Kelly also very kindly gifted me a pattern, which I'll share with you guys a little bit later. Okay, so I don't have any FOs again. That's 2 episodes running, which isn't very good. But I feel like the last couple of weeks have been quite busy. I guess we'll see what I've been up to. So I've kind of been working on 2.5 projects. 2 of them are new, and one of them you've seen before. So let's get started. Okay, so in my homespun house bag, this lovely floral bag, I love Molly's bags. I think they're really well made, they're really sturdy, they're amongst my favourites. So in my homespun house bag is my 3 Pips Mystery Cal wrap. Now, unfortunately, I am still on clue 1. I have done a bit more, but only a teeny weeny bit more than I had done last time round. And again, baby brain, I was under the assumption, well actually I didn't know, but I kind of assumed that the clues were coming out every other week, so I had plenty of time to catch up, and obviously I've just not caught up. So I have done a little bit more, which is why I'm going to show it to you, otherwise I wouldn't. For those of you who don't know, the 3 Pips Mystery Cal is being hosted by the Periscoping Sisters, so Debbie Reese and Amy Meeks. They are amazing designers, and this is one of their patterns. They're doing it in conjunction with Lolo Did It, so it's her yarn, and for those of you who watched last time round, I did show you the colourways that I was using. So it's the shawl uses 3 colours. It's recommended that you use a variegated skein and then 2 tonals, and I'm using this gorgeous colourway, which is called Look at the Flowers, Lizzie, and it's actually on Lauren's Sparkle Sock base, and it's a peach base. It's got a peach base, and then you've got pops of reds and blue and some purple and yellow and bits of green. I think this stellina is quite subtle, so it's not maybe so obvious on camera. Because that's my kind of main variegated yarn, and I have just introduced colour 2, which is this blue that I'm using, and it's called Blue Suede Shoes. So let me show you how much I've done. It's not that much further than last time. So I think I was probably about here last time, and I've done about this much. So I've just started to introduce, let me hold it the other way around. I've just started to introduce the new colour. I love this colourway. It's really pretty, and it makes this pattern a joy to knit on. I mean, it's a really lovely and intuitive pattern anyway, but the yarn kind of is just so pretty that you just want to keep working on it. I've just been busy with other things, so unfortunately I haven't had much time to pick this up. One of the things I posted on Instagram earlier today was about kind of carrying yarn. So as you can see, start off with one colourway, and then you introduce pops of colour. And I wasn't sure if I should break the yarn or carry the yarn, and if I was to carry the yarn, what the best way to do that in a way that wouldn't make it look untidy was. So as you can see, I have to do this section once more before I reintroduce the variegated. I don't know if you can see that very well, sorry. So I have to repeat this section here once more before I reintroduce the variegated, and so it's quite a long area to carry it over. So I wasn't sure what to do, and I posted the question on Instagram this morning and also tagged both Amy and Debbie in, and bless them, they got back to me within a few minutes. It was amazing. I hadn't anticipated that both of them would, and there's a time difference, so I really didn't think they'd get back to me so quickly, but they did. And I also had some of you lovely people comment as well, and I think the consensus is that carry the yarn because you don't want to be weaving in lots of ends, which I concur with. I just need to figure out how to do it so it's tidy. Now, Debbie said to me that Clue 2 has some tips on how to best do it. it's a mystery cowl, so I hadn't read up ahead because I felt like it was cheating a bit. And to be honest, I didn't think to read up ahead. So I'm gonna do that, but I'm only gonna read that section because I still feel a bit like I'm cheating. So yeah, I mean, I've tried really hard not to look the hashtag up on Instagram because I want it to be a mystery for me. So yeah, this is 3 pips, mystery cowl wrap, still on clue 1, using Lolo Did It yarns. I'm using my 3.75mm high sharps, and I had mentioned last time that I felt that there was quite a bit of drag on them. Like even now when I rub my finger over them, it's not, I wouldn't say it's silky smooth. So initially I thought it was a little bit tedious to work with these, but I don't know if it's a combination of needle and the type of yarn you use, because the Blue Suede Shoes is on a different base and it seems slicker with that particular base. I'm also using high needles or high sharps from the same kind of set, one of my other projects, and it's so much slicker on those. So I don't know if it's this particular needle that seems to be giving me trouble. And the other thing that I noticed is that it's blunter. I mean, it's sharp, but it's still blunter than the other set of needles. So it's quite interesting. I know everyone seems to love them, so I'm still feeling them out. But yeah, so enjoying that one, but haven't had that much of an opportunity to work on it recently. Okay, so next up, pretty bag. I think I've shown this to you before in one of my acquisitions. This is from I Heart You, and I was enabled by Laura of Fawn Knits podcast. I think she has a pinky one, if I'm not mistaken, but I love this bag, and the more I see it, the more I love it. And in it I have a test knit from the lovely Amy Vandelar. She she came up with this shawl called the Folio Triangle shawl, and we have until next week to finish it. And it's a triangular shawl that's knit bottom up with kind of garter panels along the edges, and a lace section which starts off in a V just like the shawl, and then actually becomes a V. So you've got garter, the lace V, and then garter in the middle as well. I don't know how well that translates into this at the moment. The pattern is just the pattern is divided into 4 sections, and I'm actually on the last section. So I'm on the section that then makes the legs for the V. So I haven't quite started that yet, but if you can see, let me show you. Can you see that lace work? It's going to look stunning when it's blocked. And you can see the garter, and it just makes it so squishy and lovely. Just to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. It's a bit like that. I'm using Circus Tonic handmade yarn, an Australian dyer that I have been coveting for ages, and she tends to make colourways or create colourways based on local birds. This is the colourway that I'm using, so it's kind of pops of pink and green and yellow and blue on a white background. sorry the lighting isn't fantastic, so everything appears a little bit washed out. And it's called, ooh, bear with me a second, I do have the tag somewhere, it's in the wrong bag. It's called Rose Crowned Fruit Dove, on her Jubilee sock base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 464 yards and 425 meters in 100 grams. It's a really lovely, it's a very lovely base to work with. I'm using 4mm higher sharps, and like I mentioned, these higher sharps are much sharper. The tips are much sharper than the 3.75. So sometimes if I'm not paying attention, I can split the yarn. So I just need to be a little bit careful. But it's so bizarre because these needles are from the same set as the other needles, and these are a lot. Like I can do that and it stings, whereas in the other ones, meh, it's not so bad. This tip is not as sharp either. Very odd. But these needles are much slicker than the 3.75. Very bizarre. So this test knit, like I said, well, I don't know if I said, I can't remember. I need to finish by next week. I kind of did half of this. So this is the second time around that I'm knitting. I did half of this and had it with me when I was putting my son to sleep. And boisterous 7-month-old doesn't want to sleep, kind of rolling around and kicking, and put his foot through my shawl, and all the stitches came off, and I find it really difficult picking up stitches if I drop stitches anyway, and lace stitches just wasn't going to happen, so I ripped it all out and started again. But I think I'm making good progress and I should be able to finish on time. I just need to have some quiet time to be able to do it. I did take it with me when I went on holiday. So I went on on a long weekend break, the weekend gone, and I took this as one of my projects, anticipating that I could get a lot of it done, but actually I didn't really have time where I didn't really have alone time. It was lots and lots of family time, so I didn't really feel able to work on this because I didn't want to be doing something wrong and having to rip back, because that just would have been a nightmare with lace. I still feel quite yeah when I'm knitting lace, so it's a walk on the wild side. But I'm really loving the pattern. Amy released a pattern using kind of very similar lace called the Folio Cowl last week, and it's really pretty. So I think after I finish this, I might have to cue that one. I'm not going to say I'm going to cast it on because I have so many whips that I really do need to finish. So I'm going to be good and say I will cue it with a view to casting it on at some point. So that was one that's been getting quite a bit of love in the evenings. And then the third one is a crochet project. So again, it's not a project that you've seen on the podcast yet. I cast it on, I think on Friday just gone. I should mention it's Thursday the 22nd. Thursday the 22nd of September, and I think I cast it on Friday, so that I had my initial chain done before I got on the plane. And it's called, sorry, let me just get the pattern up. It's called The Hotel of Bees, and if you watched the last episode, I mentioned that I had bought this pattern because it really appealed to me, and it kind of formed the basis of the KAL that I'm hosting, but more about that in a bit. So it's a crochet shawl that's made up of about 12 or 13 sections in sport weight yarn, and each section has a different pattern, and I think there's only about 4 or 5 different patterns. They just get repeated in different sections, and it's relatively straightforward. I am on section 3, so this was the first section here up until this white border, and then the next section was what they call the open honeycomb section. So if I stretch it out, which you can see it's kind of honeycomb shape, and I think you'll be able to see that more clearly once I've blocked it. And then I'm now starting what is apparently the B section. It's actually quite a fun knit. I do need to keep referring to the pattern, so my iPad has been following me around everywhere, but this was an easier thing to kind of take around with me to work on when we were in taxis, on the plane, compared to the folio shawl. I'm using Hebes Stonewashed yarn, which is a Danish brand, in this blue, which is called Blue Appetite, and the cream is Moonstone, and there is actually a third colour that you introduce a little bit later, which is in a light grey, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It isn't as quick as I thought it would be, because some of the bits are quite intricate, so I'm hoping that I get to finish it quickly, but it might take me the whole of October. I'm not 100% sure, but let's see how it goes. And I'm using a 3mm hook. This is my clover crochet hook. I quite like these. I got a set of these I want to say about a year and a half ago, and I do have just metal ones, higher metal ones, which are fine, but these are quite comfortable. For crocheters out there, do you have any particularly favourite crochet hooks? I know that knitters always talk about kind of their favourite sock needles, their favourite interchangeables, and I have to be honest, I haven't watched that many crochet podcasts, so I don't know what the word on the street is. I'm hoping you can fill me in. Are there any particular favourite brands out there? Why would you use different types of hooks? Is it because it's just easier on the hand? Is it just something that you've always been using, so you're used to it? Let me know. I didn't actually mention the project bag that this is in. It's my London bag, and it's by Spinning and Stitching, who is Alexandra Mackenzie Mason. She's got a store on Etsy, and it's one of the first project bags that I bought, and I love these drawstring bags. I think they're really versatile for small to medium projects. Your yarn doesn't get stuck in anything. I mean, look, this is all kind of hanging out, and I don't have to be worried about any zippers. So I quite like these, and hers have some padding in them, so it doesn't kind of just crumple up in your hand. And I've got a few of hers. I think I've got an owl bag as well, which I really love, and I'm sure it will come up at some point. It's housing one of my very, very, very old whips at present, but I will pop her details below. Okay, so moving on to the KAL. I mentioned last time round that I am hosting the To Be or Not To Be knitting and crochet along. I'm a little bit obsessed with bees, and I was trying to think of what I'd like my theme to be for a knitting or crochet along, and I came across the Hotel of Bees pattern. I haven't been crocheting for a really long time and started crocheting on a baby blanket, and then started looking at lots of crocheting patterns, and then came across that one, and that was kind of my inspiration to make it bee themed. And the cowl really is bee themed. It doesn't have to be a bee pattern, it doesn't have to say bee in it, it can be adjacent. So for example, honeycomb related, honey related, it can be the pattern, it can be the yarn. So is the yarn maybe something to do with bees or something to do with honey, or hives? I'm leaving it really, really open. Obviously, if it's a very obtuse connection, I'd love it if you could explain your motivation behind your entry. There are threads in the Revelry group, both a chatter thread and an FO thread. And we've had some chatter going on already, and we've also got an FO, which is fantastic. The FO went up within a week of the cowl starting, so that's really, really lovely. Please get involved. I actually have some of the prizes here today, so I can show them to you. I'm just trying to find them. Bear with me one sec. Okay, so I was trying to think of things that I would like to give to you guys, and obviously yarn is a given, and that is coming, so I can't talk about it or show it to you just yet, but we all like everything that's yarn adjacent, so that's knitting bags, stitch markers, etc. And I was looking for kind of bee themed stuff online, and I came across an Etsy seller called Michelle. Hello Michelle, who is based in Singapore and makes absolutely stunning stitch markers and progress keepers. And out of a lot of the kind of bee themed stitch markers and progress keepers I'd come across, hers stood out by a mile. So I kind of messaged her to see if she would put together a particular order for me, and we started chatting, and she found out that I had a podcast and I was based in Singapore at present, and it just went from there. And she very generously said, you don't have to pay for this, I'm going to gift it to the podcast. So there you go. Can you see that? Oh, I think one of the daisies has flipped over. So it's basically a bee and two daisies, and now the bee's flipped over. And the bee is all sparkly. Look at that. Oh. It's still focusing on me. I don't know that I can get a fantastic. I can't get the focus to work properly. But what I will do is I will post a picture of this in the chatter thread for the cowl, so that you guys can see how beautiful and how stunning these are up close. And they're actually 3 progress keepers and 1 stitch marker. And she didn't just give 1, she gave 2 for the giveaway, so there'll be 1 for each of the threads. And not only that, sorry, I think something's gone flying, she gifted me some. And I need to show them to you, but I've put them somewhere. Bear with. I'm back. Okay, so these are mine. Look at this. Oops. I should have practiced focusing. So this one is a panda. There's two Cinderella carriages. I might just have to insert a picture in here because I can't seem to get it to focus very well, but they're absolutely stunning, and I was really taken aback by Michelle's generosity. Thank you, Michelle, thank you so much. Her shop on Etsy is called Love by Little Map, and I was just chatting to her about how she started and what her motivation was, and she was just saying that she's been watching podcasts and she'd kind of made some stitch markers and progress creepers using particular charms that she liked, which she felt reminded her of particular podcasters, and so she wanted to give them to them. And when she was chatting to her husband was like, well, have you thought about maybe opening up a shop and selling them, because I'm sure other people would like them too. And you know, thumbs up to a supportive husband, because her stuff is beautiful. So please do head over and check her out. Michelle has been an amazing support and friend, you know, over the last, you know, and we've only kind of gotten to know each other over the last couple of weeks, so she's been fantastic, and I really feel like she's helping me to get situated in Singapore, and she's just been fantastic at reaching out to me. So thank you, Michelle. Thank you for the gifts and thank you for the giveaways. Your stuff is absolutely stunning. Okay, so that's one set of prizes. I also ordered a project, a bee-themed project bag, and this is a drawstring bag with a handle. It's lovely kind of canvasy cotton with these gorgeous bees on it, and this is by Tracy from Thimble and Thread Make. She has a podcast as well, and she's based in the UK, and she was brilliant as well, because I had been looking at one of her listings, and when I got in touch with her, she said it's just been sold. And I was like, oh, I can't seem to find bee-themed fabric anywhere, and a couple of months ago it was everywhere. And she said, you know what, I've got some lying around, so I could probably make you one. And she was really quick, and she wrapped it up really nicely as well. But unfortunately, I had to open it because I wanted to show you guys. So the way that it's going to work is there's going to be a skein of yarn and a set of stitch markers for each thread, and the bag is also going to go into the mix, but I think it's probably going to go together with the FO kind of prize. And watch this space for the yarn, because I'm working with a new indie dyer to come up with something very specific for the cowl. So it sounds fantastic. I can't wait to show you guys, but I'm not going to say much more until I've got the skeins in my hands. Okay, so don't forget, the cowl runs until the 31st of October. You need to be a member of my Ravelry group to enter, and then there'll be a prize for the chatter thread, and there'll be a prize for the FO thread. It's as simple as that. So I hope you guys will participate. Okay, moving on to my acquisitions. I have a couple of things to show you. The first is the pattern that lovely Kelly sent me. So I wanted to share that with you because it was so generous of her. We had a religious festival, I think the weekend after our last podcast, and she got in touch with me and said, please can I send you a pattern, which was so sweet and so generous of her. Kelly is a new knitter, and she knits socks on 9-inch circulars like there's no tomorrow, and she's been crocheting for a couple of years, but she's fabulous. She crochets garments and stuff, and a shawl is probably as far as I go with regards, and hats. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin with kind of big garments. So anyways, long story short, she's amazing, and she sent me this lovely pattern, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to show it to you, and it's not. Okay, so it's sideways, and I can't seem to get it. Bear with me, let me see if there's another. Yeah, that picture isn't so. You're just gonna have to see a sideways picture, or I'm gonna have to insert another photo. It's the beeswax hat. It's by okay, lots of technical malfunctions today. Apologies. I will insert a picture. It's by Amy Vanderla, who's the designer of the shawl that I'm doing as well, and I had thought that I'd be able to do both my crochet shawl and the hat for the cow. Obviously, I'm not eligible for any prizes, but I thought I would just join in the fun. But kind of just looking at how long the shawl is taking me, I'm not sure that I'll be able to. But I now have the pattern, so I can give it a go if I do get some time towards the end. Let's see. There are so many lovely bee and bee related patterns out there. Nessa of the Kilter Craft podcast has the I Heart Bees socks that are stunning, and I really want to knit them. I'm a little bit intimidated because there's cabling on them, but they're just stunning. So I have pattern in my library, and I would like to give it a go at some point. And unbeknownst to me, or rather I might have known about it, but it just went over my head, she was having a cow for the socks, which kind of ended just before mine started. So that might have been on my Instagram feed, kind of feeding into my psyche, which possibly prompted my kind of bee-themed cow. Who knows? So that was the gift that I got given. A while back I also kind of ordered some yarn from Circus Tonic Handmade. One of the skeins was the one that I'm using for the folio shawl, and the others, yes, there's lots. I want to make some adult garments for myself, and I've been Googling patterns, and I thought that I would make both, at some point in the near future, both a fingering weight kind of garment and a DK weight garment. So I have been stalking her updates for a while, and decided to go ahead and order some. Now I have broken this yarn, broken this skein rather. I think it needs rescaling, but I'm not gonna fiddle with it on camera. This is the fingering weight yarn that I've got, and it's like a beige and cream tonal yarn in her Jubilee sock, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and it's in the colourway Marsh Sandpiper. I have seen garments and socks knit out of this, and it's lovely. And like I said, I've been working on this for this base for the folio shawl, and it's really lovely to work with, so I'm quite looking forward to that. I'm just not sure about patterns. Initially I thought the featherweight, but I already have yarn for my featherweight, which I bought in February. So if anyone has any interesting patterns that can be knit up in fingering weight yarn, I would love to know. Nothing horrendously challenging, because I might give up, but I'm up for a challenge. So any patterns that you recommend, I'd love to hear about. And then the second lot of the second lot of yarn in sweater weight quantities, there we go, that I bought was in her Pageant DK Twist. And it's in this colourway which is called Southern Emu Wren. And again, it's kind of blowing out and it looks a little bit bluebelly, but it's more like washed out jeans, to be honest. Lighting isn't very good today. It's 100% extra fine superwash merino, 218 yards, 200 meters in 100 grams. And again, I haven't decided on patterns, so if you know of any DK weight garments, let me know. I'm open to suggestion for those. And then the last set of acquisitions to show you, some sock yarn. I met the lovely Claire at our local knit out here last month, and we were just chatting about where to buy yarn in Singapore, and there's a store called Spotlight, which is apparently the Singaporean equivalent, or Australian equivalent actually, for Hobby Lobby. And I've been in there before and had a look at their yarns, and they're not always things that I would knit with. I mean, there's quite a bit of acrylic which I would use for kids or for toys, but it's all really, really expensive, and I could get it for a fifth of the price in the UK. So I haven't really bought yarn from there before. And she was chatting and saying that actually she'd managed to get some sock wool, and I was like, tell me more. And she said it was a wool and bamboo mix, so I was quite interested. She said that she bought 2 skeins and she'd knit them into socks for friends, and we were chatting about whether or not we thought they would stand the test of time or not, and she said, I have absolutely no idea, but they were fun to knit. So I decided to go and peruse Spotlight when I was in the area one day, and I bought 2 skeins, and it's Modavera, not just socks 4-ply, and it's 50% superwash wool, 25% polyamide, 25% bamboo, and when you see that, it looks like opal oregia yarn and how it knits up, so quite nice. And this is called Blue Stripes, and this multicoloured one is called Bright Multi-Mix, and it's got like purples and pinks and what looks like leopard print and neon green and all sorts. So I thought this would be quite fun, and this would be for my husband. So yeah, those were my acquisitions. It is, well, it's not yet, but I've been pretending it's birthday month for the last few weeks now, so there are more things on the way. My birthday's in October, and October is usually birthday month for me. It's when I gift myself nice things. My husband doesn't get it at all, but I said it's a girl thing. I kind of started a little bit early this year, and I don't know if it's in part because I'm just more aware of a lot more makers, and all the podcasts in the world enable you, and it's really hard to say no sometimes. I think the other thing is that Singapore has much better post than Brunei, so I know that whenever I ordered anything in Brunei, a lot of places didn't ship to Brunei, and if they did, it would just take a while, whereas here it's much more reasonable in terms of delivery time, and I've been quite lucky in how quickly things have been getting to me. There are no excuses. Okay, so moving on to giveaway. So you lovely people humble me entirely. I woke up a few days after my last podcast to find that we had hit the 100 subscriber milestone. And I know it's a baby milestone, but it means so much that you guys are wanting to come back and listen to me chat about what I get up to and stuff like that. So I was really, really, really surprised, and I wanted to show my appreciation because I couldn't do it without you guys, and so I decided I would host an Instagram giveaway. And if you saw the giveaway, then you will know that I am giving away this gorgeous skein of hedgehog fibres in twist sock in the Fiesta colourway, and it is stunning. It's got pops of neon orange and pink and green and highlighted yellow, and then it's got more subtle bits of brown. It's just a lovely, lovely skein. So this is going to a new home very, very soon, and I've paired it together with a cross-stitch sampler of an orangutan, and this is particularly relevant or related to this podcast. As I mentioned, I'm in Singapore, and before my husband and I moved here, we were in Brunei for a bit, and Brunei is on the island of Borneo. Borneo is made up of 3 countries: Indonesia, Brunei and East Malaysia, and it is home of the orangutan. And orang means man in Malay and tan is forest. So orangutan actually means man of the forest, and it's a very old word that came about when people first kind of discovered the island of Borneo and were kind of going through the jungles and noticed big apey monkeys. So orangutans are specific to the region. So I thought I would share a part of this region with you in a crafty way. So anyway, so I did the random number generator thing, and the lucky winner is, drum roll, Melody Bordeaux. So congratulations, Melody. You're gonna be the new owner of the Fiesta twist sock and this lovely cross-stitch sampler. So I hope you enjoy them. If you watch this and hear about it here first, then either message me on Ravelry or on Instagram with your address so I can send the parcel out to you. I will be posting the winner on Instagram, but probably not until after I've posted this episode and given it a little bit of time, but definitely in the next day or 2. So I don't know where you'll find out, but get in touch, and if you know Melody, then tell her to watch the podcast because she's got a surprise waiting for her. Okay, so that's pretty much the knitty related stuff, my life stuff now. I haven't done lots, but I feel like I've done tons. I've been quite busy exploring kind of a new part of the knitting / designing arena. I'm not a designer. I'm not really looking into designing either. I don't think I'm talented enough really for that. But one of the things that I have been doing is looking over a couple of patterns for a few designers, just to check the patterns, etc. So basically some knitting tech editing. I've been researching the area a lot more, finding out more, and I really enjoy it. So I'm doing a course in tech editing now, and I thought it might be something that I can do because it's knitting related. I use my brain, and it doesn't take as much time as test knitting does, which I love, but I can't always work to tight deadlines, and this is a bit more manageable even if there is a deadline. So I thought it might be something that I could do on the side, and might be a way for me to work off my yarn addiction. But let's see, it's still early days, but it's something that I'm really excited about. And if there are any kind of tech editors out there, that would like to show a newbie the ropes and have any advice for me, I'd love to hear from you guys. Yeah, because I'm really enthusiastic and I'm really enjoying what I'm learning and doing so far. So that's taken up quite a bit of my time in the last couple of weeks. And then my husband and I, together with my son, went to Penang for a 3.5 to 4 day break over the weekend, which was lovely. It was supposed to be kind of an early birthday trip, because October is going to be quite a busy month for us and we're not going to be able to do anything per se. So for those of you who don't know, Penang is an island. It's one of the main tourist islands actually of Malaysia. It's about an hour and 20 minutes from Singapore by flight, and at one point, many centuries ago, it used to be the capital of Malaysia, and it's known for a few things like specific types of cuisine. It is known for its batik material production, and at one point it was kind of the spice capital of the region. So we got to explore a bit, try different types of food, and for my kind of cultural bit, I wanted to share a little bit about batik printing and about the spice trade with you guys. There is a batik making factory that is open to the public 7 days a week in Penang. We went there on a Sunday afternoon, and apparently on Sundays the workers only work until lunchtime, and we got there just after, so we couldn't see people in action, but we got to see some of the material that they'd been working on earlier in the morning. So batik is actually something that originates from Java, and it's a wax-resistant type of printing. So you either draw or drip wax onto a material and then allow it to dry, either scrape it off or burn it off, and then paint over the top. And obviously the area where the wax resin is still kind of there maintains the original fabric colour, whereas the rest of it can be painted. And there are different types of batik. So batik is quite a common type of dyeing technique in the region. It's quite famous in Penang and in Indonesia, and there's a difference between the two styles though. So Malaysian batik focuses mainly on fauna and flora, so lots of flowery patterns are kind of what we saw, and then Indonesian batik tends to incorporate animals as well. Batik print is used in formal wear quite a bit, especially for men. So a batik shirt can be the equivalent of wearing a suit, which was a huge shock for me initially, because I remember during my wedding, when my in-laws kind of came to the UK, we had like a welcome dinner, and it was an opportunity for both our families to get to know each other, and it was semi-formal, but people were dressed up, and my husband came in a long-sleeve batik shirt, and I'd never seen a batik shirt before, and I thought, oh my gosh, why is he wearing a long-sleeved why is he wearing a long-sleeved Hawaiian shirt? This is really bizarre. So that was quite interesting, and it was only afterwards that I found out that actually it's formal wear. Nowadays, besides the formal wear, batik materials are uniforms, so often kind of hotel staff, etc., will be wearing batik shirts or shirts with batik print on them. One of the things I didn't mention was that nowadays, just because of quick turnover and profit, people don't always do the batik painting by hand, so you often have block printing, and the factory we went to see did both. So that was quite interesting because it has a slightly different feel to it. I'm going to insert some pictures, maybe a video if I can, and hopefully share what we saw with you guys. And the other place that I went to was the Tropical Spice Garden. So Penang back in the day was one of the first places that the British wanted to create into kind of a hub port for the region. And Captain Light, who was one of the first guys who landed on Penang from kind of the British Empire, brought with him kind of herbs and spices, some of which were native to the region, some that weren't, and planted them there in the hope of kind of making this the first kind of big port and like a spice trade centre. Unfortunately, they didn't have the expertise, and the soil didn't always work for the different types of spices that they wanted to grow. So very quickly, Penang stopped being the spice capital, and the spice capital moved over to Singapore once it became a much bigger port as well. Spices aren't grown in Singapore, but they're traded through Singapore. The tropical spice garden is lovely. It's kind of it feels very untouched. So you get to see natural rainforest, and they've kind of they've got audio and visual guides that take you through different parts of the forest and point out different herbs and spices that are used both in modern day cooking and traditional medicine. It was really, really interesting, and it was definitely somewhere that I would recommend. Just beware if you ever do visit, wear lots and lots of insect repellent. I was wearing insect repellent. I happened to be the most covered person there, and I was still the only person that got bitten, which was bad luck. Sorry. And the last place that I wanted to share with you guys was Utopia, which is the world's biggest butterfly farm. I love butterflies, and this was an oasis of butterflies. We got to spend lots of time with lots of different types of butterflies, and the exhibit also has lots of sections for kids to learn different things about the insect world, life cycle of a butterfly. So it's definitely somewhere that I would recommend that you guys go. So that, in a nutshell, was Penang. I haven't mentioned the food, so I'll very quickly add that in before I end. There are a couple of things that are quite popular there. Something called char kway teow, which is a type of noodles. Chendol, which is a dessert that is made with shaved ice, gula melaka or sugar syrup, coconut milk, and these green jelly noodles, and either sweet corn or kidney beans. I don't do things like that in dessert, so I usually have it without the beans and the sweet corn, but it's delicious, and Penang is known for that. And there's also a dish called nasi kandar, which is rice. Nasi is rice in Malay, with lots of different types of sauces and curries, and it's very specific to Penang, which was really, really delicious. So yeah, those are the types of things that you should check out if you're ever in Penang. But that's a wrap from me today. I think I've been going on for like forever. Thank you for staying with me this long. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked today's episode. If you do, hit like, hit subscribe, and I hope that you will join us over in the Ravelry group and join in the Cal. You know, I really enjoy getting to know you guys. I try my hardest to respond to messages as quickly as I can. If I can't, I apologize in advance, but I am trying. So stick with me. Okay, take care. Bye.
After color everything, we will fix this. We use sodium silicate to fix the color, and then we boil it with the hot water to remove the wax.